You're listening to the Slow Ride Podcast. Bikes, advice, and rumors straight from the source. TheSlowRidePodcast.com and on Twitter at TheSlowRidePod. Enjoy the ride.
Hello and welcome to the Slow Ride Podcast. This is Tim Hayes in Orlando, Florida.
Hey, this is Matt in Minneapolis.
And this is Spencer Howe in Boston. Guys, how you doing?
I'm
Sleepy.
doing pretty good. And
No? I'm distracted.
why are you distracted?
I've been distracted by the news this weekend. There's been a lot going on. I don't know if you guys have noticed.
There has been a lot going on, and I've been busy myself.
Busy weekend.
I was at a
Yeah.
car race all weekend.
Really?
Yeah, I was at the
was
Rolex
at a bike
24.
Rolex 24.
Yeah, little guy was at the bike swap, and I believe you're moving, so that's pretty much the
Yeah,
podcast. So we'll
been pretty
talk to
busy.
everybody later.
So we all had a lot of time to watch all the races this weekend.
We had a lot of time to watch all of the
Well,
races.
And that's what I'm distracted by, is there was so much racing going on this weekend that I feel like it's taking away from the main story.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to overshadow the story of the mechanical doping.
It is. The racing, is definitely going to take away from the mechanical engine.
This is
And-
like finding the Loch Ness Monster. This is huge. I have been on record on this podcast multiple times saying this is total BS. It's garbage. It doesn't exist. It's a waste of time and energy. And I might be wrong. I still haven't seen it. So it's still
feel
sort
like
of a blurry Bigfoot picture, but,
Oh, yeah. It could be, What's crazy about this, so I was at the car race the other day, and I was getting really sporadic Twitter updates. And I saw a tweet from Adam Myerson that said, wait, a 19-year-old had a motor? How does a 19-year-old have a motor without some kind of help? And then I was like, oh my God, I got to call Spencer. And then Spencer's like, yeah, 19-year-old Femke van den Driesche,
Nailed it.
of Belgium, was caught with a motor in her bike. And she didn't even finish the race. I guess it was a pit
mechanical.
bike, correct?
it could have been her
Uh,
friend's pit
I'm
bike.
not
Or
sure.
so, it depends
Yeah.
on who you ask.
So the defense right now, the defense from her father is that,
And from her. She's
and from
quoted
her,
as
was that
saying
it was a friend's bike that they brought to the pit. It's the I saw Vice magazine, Deadspin has picked this up. They of course referenced the old Sammy Sosa when he was like, "Well, I didn't know they were corked bats. That was just for like when I put on home run hitting displays." And why does this girl have a bike that looks like her bike with a motor? Like, it's the plausible deniability here is not very strong.
Yeah, we had the credible sources like the Race Radio on Twitter saying, "Well, the bike had her name on it." So,
Oh,
yeah,
nice. Had the sticker. Oh, that means that since I have, I forget the name of the guy whose name is on my top tube, my road bike. I could put a motor in that, just leave it sitting around at a
Okay.
bike race.
D. Richter,
remember?
we've talked
D.
about
Richter.
this.
D. Richter, supposedly a really nice guy and a good racer out on the West Coast. I could put a motor in my bike, leave it at a bike race, get him in trouble. It's not my bike. It's D. Richter's bike.
Yeah.
So
That's-
the big news of let's not forget that her older brother, and I know they're two separate people, but her older brother is currently serving a suspension for doping. So
Mechanical doping,
No,
or just
it's
regular
just the
doping?
regular doping.
But this is
I'm
new
not-
uncharted territory. This is interesting stuff.
Yeah. None of them did it, though.
That's true.
None of them did it. You're absolutely correct. Because mechanical doping, guys, it's the new way. And of course, they found it when they removed the seat post, and they saw wires, and then they tried to remove the bottom bracket, and they couldn't. It was just like kind of JB welded in there. So there we have it. It exists, and apparently someone have gone back to her race earlier in the season and timed her climb up the Koppenberg at the Koppenberg Cross didn't go so hot. So, is what it is.
So what?
Or it went a little too hot, is what you should say.
Yeah, she was
Yeah,
5%
has anyone
faster than
done-
everybody else.
Really? Okay. Because I was wondering, like in the tour, we get all the, the estimates of Froome, and it's always like completely insane the power he's supposedly putting out. I was wondering if anybody had done like a crazy power estimate on her Koppenberg climb. Like
I haven't seen that yet. Just the times.
she's
Just
putting
the
out like
times.
Froome like numbers on the Koppenberg climb.
She's slower than everyone on the descent of the, and this is one race, so it probably doesn't matter to anything.
Yeah.
But she's slower on the descents than most of the front runners for sure.
That motor
not
doesn't help you in the
impressive.
tech.
She's like average on the flats, but on the climb she destroyed everyone.
All right, can we
Destroyed
just...
Helen Wyman, destroyed and this is all, like I said, kind of hearsay stuff. But
Shouldn't this...
also sharpen
I mean,
your pitchfork.
she has to be the guinea pig here, right? Like,
Yeah.
I can't imagine that a 19-year-old junior woman was like...
U23.
Well, U23, but...
Brand new U23 category.
I can't imagine that, like,
Coming out of the gates hot.
like, just with the amount of money that's involved and everything, like, compared to the men's side or even the women's elite, that this could be the guinea pig, right? Like, let's see if we can get away with it at the lower categories to work our way up to the top level. I mean, that's got to be what this is.
Well, I saw that very conspiracy theory floated by our good buddy Dan from Nam on Twitter, actually, right after the story broke. Yeah. He, so there's definitely, people in the pro ranks that are like, probably guinea pig.
So,
Well, I think part of the way they messed up is supposedly, the UCI saw wires, and they were tipped that the wires could mean something else because she rides mechanical. Like, you got to put a motor on your bike with electronics so that you have more excuses for weird wires, weird buttons,
Right.
all kinds of stupid shit.
that's a good point. Like, 'cause you could say, like, oh, it's this new wireless, it's the new rotor electronic kit.
The battery's in the bottom bracket, and it's sort of a one-piece built-in thing, so it's really hard to get out. It's a proprietary tool, and we forgot it back at
it's like a Cannondale.
back at the HQ. Yeah, it's a Cannondale.
So
It's got a proprietary thing.
What I think is interesting about this whole thing is the rules that are broken with this. The suspensions or the punishments they have are like 6 months to 2 years, or 6 months to maybe unlimited, like depending on who you ask. And you're supposed to also punish the team, which could very well be the national team or her trade team, and nobody's sure how it's going to shake out.
That's a tough one with nationals. I heard that too, and it's hard to paint. It would be hard to paint like the U23 women's Belgian national team. Like, do they share mechanics with like the men's team or with the women's elite team? Like, do they or does she like just bring her mechanic? You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to know how that should go.
There's no way the team is going to get punished for this though, because it is that national level. Like, think about how many national team, like we saw it at Louisville, like Katie Compton's on the US national team, but she's totally in her own isolated like chamber with with her husband, with Mark Legg, like running everything.
As you may have heard on our interview with Derek Bouchard Hall, the USA cyclocross program is not really up to snuff compared to some of these European.
Yeah. Does the U.S. team have any like official Euro mechanics, or do they all just bring their mechanics?
I think they just bring them.
So
they find somebody.
The bigger question, then, guys, is there more we need to talk about with the electronic doping? I mean, I think this is just going to come up forever. Like that, she's obviously a guinea pig. She's going to get banned. Will we see it again? Probably, but I think a lot less. I think this definitely will scare away a lot of people because it is pretty easy to see if someone has a motor, right? Like they can easily test.
Yeah.
This means that a small Italian team will be busted in about 2 weeks.
Let's call it traditional doping.
Yeah.
You could be like, oh, it was a supplement, it was a tainted steak, it was, this, that, the other, it was my vanishing twin.
Oh, God, so many great excuses there, Spencer.
With a motor in your bike, you can't be like, oh, I didn't know that was there. Like, I must have been there when I got it. I don't know.
So
and what's the B sample, right? Like they look at the bike, They turn away from the bike. You say, "I request the B sample." They turn back. They look at their bike. They say, "The motor's still fucking in there."
It's definitely there.
banned.
Yeah.
Oh, Spencer,
I
just
agree. It's a
hey,
tough deal.
Hey, John, come over here and look at this bike. This is a fucking motor or what? Oh yeah, that's a motor. Okay, B sample's positive. You're going to jail.
I just walked down memory lane, Spencer, with Tainted Steak and Chimera, the Vanishing Twin. Oh man, some of the greatest bands ever.
So I like the one where you're giving it to your grandma. You need the EPO.
Oh Jesus. I don't know what to say to that.
So guys, I think that the big takeaway here is that it's easy to find. Like all they need to do is test. But this gets to the next question. On the road is the biggest problem because that's where the money is. And we still have this like, oh, that's the climbing bike and this is the descending bike. I have to say that the UCI is gonna create a rule that says each rider only gets 2 bikes to start, or you get your neutral support bike, and they're gonna have the riders' names on there because there's too much going on where like someone just gets off their bike and they put it on a team car, and then that's team car 3, and then they just go off a side road and just store it in Moto Man's garage.
Exactly, and who's to say, Tyler Farrar didn't jump on a DeRosa from some guy on the road who's got a motor in his bike?
That's true. Well, maybe they tested the motor
Has this
DeRosa.
theory been floated yet? Because it's possible.
It's a good one. I like it. Well, who's to say? Now, here's an even crazier ass conspiracy. Say they got the motors in the bottom bracket now. Somebody comes up with a motor that goes in like a power tap hub, right? You got a big ass, stupid looking hub. You stick a motor in there. You start on a different bike. Midway through the race, I got a flat. You put the motor wheel on. You ride up the climb. At the top, you're like, it's a little soft. You get it taken off. It goes back in the team car. Boom, disappears. You know what I mean?
This is so I still, like, in reading the articles that Cycling Tips had and the Le Mans one about, like, the whole buildup of these motorbikes, they still didn't seem very practical to me. Like, they still seemed to, like, you need to have a battery pack in the water bottle. Like, and I know that was what was available commercially. And there's probably there's some next level engineering that's going into this. This is not just her by herself. Unless she's really good at science and she won the school science fair, which would be really awesome. There's still some.
Well, you know how NASA has kind of gone out of business now. Virgin space programs taking over. Like this is what the cosmonauts are now doing. You know what I mean? Like they've moved on from like trying to send dogs to the moon, and they are now engineering high level. Motors for bikes.
It's way more money than dogs to the moon. I can't see.
If we've learned anything from American flyers, it's that they can't be trusted.
No, they can't.
It's true. They're hairy and they can't be trusted.
So this segues perfectly into the international talk, guys. One thing that did come up is that the world is coming to Iowa City, Iowa, with the UCI World Cup being selected at Jingle Cross in September. Do we keep the name?
Yeah.
No, I think it's going to be the Iowa City World Cup. I think that's what it should be because Jingle Cross doesn't make any sense at all.
Jingle Cross World Cup would look pretty stupid.
Do they change? Guys, just think if they never changed the website and the World Cup cyclocross event still had the website with the cursor with the Santa's sleigh as the pointer. That would have been.
And it had snowflakes that fell in the background. It was,
it was great because every now and then your browser would like all of a sudden have scroll left right option because there's too many snowflakes to the right or left. So Jingle Cross goes to Iowa City. So that means that we have a Wednesday at Cross Vegas and then a Sunday race in Iowa City. So you do have a little bit of a connection. The Montreal race, which last year was going to fill that void, does not return to the calendar at all. So we have 2 races in North America. Very exciting. I always thought that Providence would be the next one to get on there because there's always seems to be every 2 years a press release on cycling news about how Providence is going to be in the World Cup calendar, and they just can't get the money, it seems.
Well, I'm thinking maybe UCI official hoity-toity guys probably, went and saw that clown show of a flyover they have in Providence and were like, no, this is not happening. And just got back on the plane, got back on the chartered UCI helicopter and took off. Never to be seen.
Weird about What about their? I mean, because you saw the flyovers this weekend. There was the wackiest, longest flyovers of all time. There's 2 of them, and they both had like multiple turns and stuff.
Yeah, but those were awesome.
What was Providence? What was bad about Providence?
Providence was a climb up a steep hill to the steep flyover that was too steep for no field made it completely over, like the whole field, like even the pro man, like towards the back you got guys who had to run up it. Like it was too steep. It was just stupid. Like you don't put a flyover at the top hill. Okay. Yeah. It was a riding both directions, but
I didn't remember it. Okay.
I mean, that flyover at Louisville, though, for the World Championships, that thing was the Green Monster or whatever. That thing was steeper than could all get out. Like
that was really steep.
Those stairs are steep. Yeah, they are steep, but at least they're usable. You know, like we saw juniors like crawling hand and knees, like trying to get up this flyover in Providence, and it was just really sad. You know, like the Cat 4s, the Cat 3s, like everybody had problems. The women's elite, like only the first handful make it over clean, and then everybody else is dabbing, and it's not an element that's part of the race. It's stupid.
So
anyway, we go back to our old episodes
Iowa
and hear my thoughts on that.
Well, guys, I know moto doping and jingle cross are on the top of everyone's minds, but we do need to get to the actual cyclocross world championships with a quick little review. But basically, the men's were today, elite men's were today with the U23 men, and then we had the women on Saturday, and the motor definitely took precedent on Saturday. But the real story, of course, was that Sanae Kant did not win the elite women's race. In fact, the elite women's race was won by De Jong of the Netherlands, who came away with a pretty dominant win.
Well, yeah, I guess. But she kind of took a long time to get to the front.
Yeah, but
it's hard to say it was dominant. It was great. It was a great race. I didn't think of it as dominant,
Oh, you didn't think so? I mean,
I thought of it as a great cyclocross race. It was a clever
dominant
move.
Dominant is like you go off the front right away. Hers is like I screwed up. I mean, she was obviously the strongest rider in the race to come from so far back. Like there was that lead group before for most of the race, and it seemed like
I only watched highlights.
Harris was off the front,
so
I feel like
Caroline Manny was going to win.
True enough, I only was able to watch the highlights, so I wasn't able to take it all.
You
in,
should.
Thank you.
If you haven't, Tim, you should treat yourself when you have some time and go back and watch that whole race because it was one of the best races of the year. The men's race today was really good, but I think the women's race was better. It was dramatic. And it was one thing watching it, but even if you know that De Jong is going to win, like she's not in the front for majority of that race. So when she suddenly comes back, you're just like, holy crap, where'd she come from? And then she's just gone. She just goes straight to the front. It makes them hurt. It was a master class. It was a very Wout van Aert sort of race.
I was out of my chair. I was cheering. I was pulling for Caroline Manny. I thought she was going to pull it off for France.
I did too.
It was an unbelievable race. She did great. Like the whole race was great. Everyone did great.
All right. Well, I can't wait to go watch that. Did Caitlin Antonow was the top placed American in 8th place. Manny got 2nd, and then Sanae Kant got 3rd. Ava Lechner got 7th place in the top 10, and Katie Compton in lucky number 13.
Yeah. So you guys both picked Katie Compton, I think as your winners. Or you both picked Sana Kant. I'm sorry.
Sana Kant.
I thought Colin would win, but I thought Compton would be up there.
Since you guys were incorrect in that, it seems like I won that little bet we had, huh?
Who did you think would win?
Eva Lechner. But since you guys' picks didn't win, that means you two are out. And so I
your pick got 7th, and our pick got 3rd. So you won.
Yeah,
that's an interesting math you're doing.
Hey,
okay, cool. I just wanted to make sure we're clarifying that it was weird math.
Let's give a shout out to Evie Richards of Great Britain for winning the first ever U23 Women's World Championship. Yes. That was pretty baller.
That was a dominant performance. That was awesome.
Without a motor in her bike.
Well, was it tested?
I'm sure they checked her bike. If they checked,
I don't know. Here's the thing. I think if they found one motor, they would be so constant, like, oh my god, these do actually exist. Like they'd so zero in that Evie Richards would just stay left.
Tom Hopper, Jeremy Powers' mechanic, tweeted that they came through the pit and checked every single pit bike, and that's how they found the bike with the motor.
How are they checking?
With some scanner and
the bottom brackets.
They have a scanner like Star Trek?
No, they got two things. They got a scanner and they've got like a little camera thingy.
Yeah. So anyway, all the bikes did. Everybody's at least one bike from everybody got tested. So I don't know. I feel good about it.
All right.
But so U23 women's race was rad. Obviously we were all pulling for Ellen Noble, who finished in 6th place, which is pretty good. Nothing to sneeze at there. But yeah, ride of the day, Evie Richards.
So, guys, I was busy today watching some car races go around in circles, so I was able to sneak onto Wi-Fi and listen to our friends Crosshairs Radio with Crossshark and Taylor Jones calling live simulcast of the UCI Cyclocross World Championships, and they actually kept me up to date. It was fun to listen to them. So I do know that Wout van Aert won the Cyclocross World Championships. I also know that Lars van der Haar was subject to lots of beer getting thrown at him when he was off the front. I do know that David van der Poel for a while was the highest placed Van der Poel brother, and that Matthew van der Poel's blue Shimano shoes made a nice appearance in Wout van Aert's wheels. Other than that, I have not been able to watch it. They also let me know that Sven Nys waved to the crowd, but Kevin Pauls, once again, out of nowhere, getting a solid 3rd place.
No. Yeah.
So,
not really out of nowhere.
Not out of nowhere, but Kevin Pauls is like the silent ninja. Like, meanwhile, you got the kids, Van der Haar, Van Aert, Van der Poel, like up there battling, and then there's just kind of like Sven Nys, who kind of is the bookend to that. And then you got Kevin Pauls, who's never really had his like full moment of world championship domination. That's kind of just always there, like just solid in 3rd place.
I think we're forgetting that like 2-3 years ago, Kevin Pauls won like half the races.
Did he win the world championship?
He hasn't won the world championship. I'm just saying, like a couple years ago, there was a Kevin Pauls year where he won like 50% of the races.
He was. I have the scarf. I have a Telenet Fidea scarf, Kevin Powell's supporter scarf, and it's awesome.
The old days. It was a great race today. I sort of half watched it while I was in that magic hour of the bike swap where you're setting up your table and you're trying to buy all the cool stuff before the common folk get let into the bike shop. So you're panicking, running around looking for, in my case, like vintage mountain bike parts. And I was trying to watch the race at the same time. So the race was projected up on the wall, and it was like literally the hardest decision I've ever had to make was like seeing a fresh table of vintage stuff get poured out and then turning and seeing like Wout van Aert attack and being like, oh my God, what do I do? I don't know what to do. I think there's vintage cranks over there, but there's an attack over here. So I saw most of the end of the race and missed the middle of the race and the beginning because I was running around trying to buy stuff. But I did get a broken campy derailleur in that time frame, so it was worth it.
Good job. So if you missed the beginning, you would have missed an unfortunate incident with Jeremy Powers missing his pedal at the start and almost taking himself out. He recovered from that, finished the race, but I'm sure he's disappointed. So that was sad. So. Stephen Hyde picked up the slack and was riding around near the top 10 for a long time before eventually fading towards the end of the race to finish 23rd.
It was a good result, though. 23rd in his first World Championships.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
No, it's his second World Championships, right? Because didn't last year he
Did you
DNF?
last year?
I thought he DNF'd last year.
It could be. Either way, 23rd is like a legitimately awesome result.
And
then
for having not done a lot of Euro racing and stuff. So.
Great point. Michael Boros of the Czech Republic takes home 16th place, and I know you guys are disappointed because if he was just 3 seconds faster, it would have bumped Francis Murray into 16th place. As French cyclocross took 11th and 15th place with Venturini taking 11th and Morais
Venturini,
15th.
the body.
So
the body.
So I want to give a quick update on the Anthony Clark situation. He did finish 43rd in the race, which is very respectful in his first trip overseas.
Yeah.
So that's pretty ridiculous. Good for him.
Here's the question: did he take the high line or the low line? though?
I don't
There's
know.
that
We
video
never saw it
all
on the
week
video.
of him and Duran riding it. He took the low line. It seemed to be the faster line in the race, but I mean, maybe he adjusted, took a high line. Did he Svennis it, kind of go one way, then go the other way? You may
He
never
did
know, 'cause
beat
we don't have
Jamie
the
Duran.
footage. He did beat
What was
Jeremy
actually-
Duran. It's a low
Yeah.
line.
Maybe. What was happening during the race was actually interesting. Speaking of that line in particular, is the route, the kind of curve into the high line got really kind of washed out, and guys were
Yeah.
losing their rear wheel through there and having to dismount a lot. Weren't able to pedal all the way up. I saw Vanderpool starting to take a kind of an in-between line. Like he would start on the outside, cut through the middle, and then take the low line at the end across the bottom. So it was clever.
He's like, he's kind of he's really into that tape to tape. Like everybody else, you're right, was taking the inside or just the outside. He was going far, swinging all the way back in. Maybe it worked, maybe it didn't. Van der Haar took that high line
yeah.
the whole race, and he messed it up a couple times. But he nailed it the last time, but it was still slower than Wout. It was painful.
I did.
Can we talk about Van der Haar?
Wait, Tim, you didn't see this. First, we should talk about the downhill pass. And then
Oh,
we'll
I
talk
saw
about
that.
his
I saw gifs
First,
of
let's
that.
talk about the fact that he made one of the most amazing downhill passes into the barriers at the bottom, the puffy barriers.
Yeah.
That was like a heart-stopping, amazing move. Like, that was so good. And then he was in the big ring, and he has that slow hop. And the race was just gone in that hop, in his slow remount.
The slow remount. And I'm sure coaches everywhere were cringing. I know Adam Parson
God.
was probably rolling in his grave right now.
Is he dead?
About the poor form.
Is that what happens when you retire?
Yeah.
They just bury you?
Yeah.
I don't think I like when my favorite cyclists retire. You guys, this is really scary. I didn't know. I thought he was just the dad now.
Spencer,
you've been keeping this from me. Oh my god!
Maybe that's
Kobo.
what. Maybe somebody said dad, and I thought they said dead. I don't know,
Oh.
but yeah, he's been a long-standing opponent of Lars van der Haar's form. Mechanically, not so good. He could have lost the race with that remount. That could be it.
He was already kind of it's hard to say, but he was already kind of a step behind on the run just because Wout ran faster. But I agree that was the moment. Like he had a chance still. If you watch the video, Tim, if you didn't see it, it's next.
I will be watching it.
There's
at some point.
it might. I don't even know if you time it. It's probably not even a second. It feels like a freaking eternity. Like the amount of time it takes him to get on his bike. It's the most painful thing because you're so hoping he can get back on and at least contest the sprint. And then it's like, hold the breath. Why are you still not on your bike? Why are you still in the freaking air?
And that's the thing. If you add that up every single time he has to get on his bike, every single lap over the course of the race, that's a lot of watts, that he didn't have to expend.
So
it's too bad. He's such a good bike racer, but it's true.
So after that performance by Van Aert, does the Anybody But Wout fan club continue, do you think? Or should we just give this guy his due and say, like, hey, congrats on winning the World Championships. That was pretty awesome a performance.
I mean,
I'm going to speak. I don't want to speak for Spencer, but I've been giving him due all year. Spencer, how do you feel? I don't feel like Tim, personally.
Well, I feel like he's been getting his due from at least 2/3 of this podcast for most of the year. But I do feel that with the Anyone But Wout fan club being started by the Super Rookie Hayes of Super Rookie Curse fame, that this panned out, pretty much exactly how it should have.
Yeah. So he is now my favorite
I'm
bike
for an
racer.
interview, so I want to be nice to him.
Hey, he seems like, I will say, from what I heard and from listening to the Crosshairs simulcast, that the performance today was pretty amazing, especially when he came back from the crash with Vanderpool. And he deserves a lot of credit and shout-out, and I will be the very first one to say congratulations. But I'm still a Vanderpool guy, especially after hearing about the way that the Belgian fans were treating the Dutch riders. It's a very sad thing.
It feels a little poor form. Like the Belgians have been dominating for so many years, they almost don't know what to do now that they have to deal with other nations playing in their game.
The other race today was the U23 men, and we have a Belgian taking the top spot, Eli Iserbert. And then you have Adam Tupelik of the Czech Republic and Quinten Hermans of Belgium.
Tim, now, I know you didn't watch this either, but there was a lot of drama in this race too.
So I had heard someone mention that Tupelik actually posted up with 1 lap to go.
Yes, and it was so sad. It was
and then
so
he lost.
Sad. He dropped about 4 spots, or dropped to the back of the group and realized it and got back on, and then he lost the sprint. Yeah.
Okay, so did he win the sprint with 1 lap to go by quite a bit? Did he crush it?
Yeah, because no one else was sprinting.
Okay.
No one else
was sprinting.
So was there a preem? I know, but did the organizers say hey, crap, someone go to the bike shop, get him a Planet Bike pump?
No, it was a gift certificate to a local Pizza Hut.
Okay. Yeah. So he crushes it, posts up.
He crushed that sprint, posts up, does oh my God. It's tragic. It's one of those things you never want to see happen. It's just, it's not even funny. It's just painful. And, you know the guy's been training all year, probably more than 1 year for this moment, and he thinks he has it. And I don't know. How do you tell a guy?
He got a silver medal. Tell him to come back next year. He's going to get a contract from Stybar's new team or whatever, and he'll be fine. Logan Owen, top-placed American in 13th place.
Is this a thing?
No, it's just Stybar will get him a contract somewhere.
They're all Czech. They're all Czech. That's what he's saying.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought maybe you guys had some sort of super secret underground knowledge about
we don't know
secret Stybar team.
Hey,
if you've listened to this show before, you should know that we don't know anything.
Logan Owen takes 13th place, top place American. Now, guys, in 6th place, Philippe Orts of Spain, Spanish cyclocross, getting a little top 10 action in the U23 men's race.
Have we discussed this on this podcast or not before about the top American designation?
We have, about how it's mean.
It is mean.
Why does it mean? Logan Owen, top-placed American racer.
It kind of just
beat Curtis White.
A weird between Americans.
It is it's a competition that it should be the shout-out, hey, top-placed American, Logan Owen. And then I was like, hey, Curtis White. I didn't mention the other guys. I mean, I could have, but I don't think it's anything bad to say, who the top-placed American is, so we all know relative where overall. Screw you guys. I will take that one to the grave. Logan Owen is the top-placed American at 13th place.
Here's why I don't like it.
Brought it up.
Jeremy Powers brought it up. I mean, he could have just.
But I think Jeremy Powers is
no longer the top placed American.
Jeremy Powers is bringing it up. My understanding is the reason is that he's bringing it up as there's a competition between them. I'm doing it as a reference. Hey, by the way, Logan O is top placed American in 13th place. Let's move on.
Well, here's why I don't like it in some ways.
White in 18th. Going on. Yeah. What?
So you watch the Tour de France. At the bottom of your screen, it says yellow jersey, Chris Froome. It says all your polka dot jersey. It says Thomas Voeckler. It says your green jersey. It says Thomas Voeckler. It says I don't know if there's another jersey. White jersey, Thomas Voeckler. That's weird. He's pretty old. Doesn't matter.
Combination jersey.
Then it says 137th place, TJ Van Garderen. Fuck you. I don't care. He's 137th place. Then it says 138th place, other guy that's American. Don't care. And then it says
second to last,
195th.
Tyler Ferrer.
Ben King. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah.
You didn't tell me the top placed Luxembourger, Frank Schleck, 37th place.
I was going to say that during the podcast that I asked the Crosshairs guys on Twitter if the Estonian national champion was actually in the race.
Landline's ringing.
And he wasn't.
Landline's ringing.
So, I'm just... Sorry, guys. Top place American, Logan Owen. Are we surprised? No, not really.
You know what was most impressive about this U23 men's race? which I'm going to refer to as the U23 men's race because there's the U23 women's race now. But in 23rd place, we had American Tobin Ortenblad, who finished 23rd using clips and straps on his bike.
What?
Yeah,
Why?
that's true. That
Why
is
did
true.
you do that?
I don't
Wait,
know,
why?
but it's true. I don't think
why
he
is-
understands how clipless pedals work.
He's
It's amazing.
He
It's
finished
amazing.
in 35th place, but nice try.
23rd. I just had it
Okay.
pulled up. What are you talking about?
Cool. Why do you? Why? What?
Oh, little
I
guy,
don't
you didn't
understand.
listen. Spencer, he didn't listen to the. He didn't watch the video last week, so he doesn't even know.
I
this
don't
joke.
watch that shit. I don't care.
All right. Well, let's move along then from the race results since we did that. Can we talk about the Crosshairs simulcast for a little bit? Because that was awesome. I listened to Crosshairs on Saturday for the women's U23 and the women's elite, and I switched back to the UCI channel commentary for the men's elite today. And I got to say, the Crosshairs guys were maybe a little more informative than the official announcers, but the official announcers had a lot more gusto. I'm gonna put that out there, and it's not a knock on the Crosshairs guys, but the professional announcers have this way of making boring whatever stuff just sound like epic. And I don't know how they do it.
So, would you say that there's room for improvement of the Crosshairs simulcast? Because I would say yes, like more music talk, intermittent. Like I thought it was really well done, and they painted a good picture
great.
on everything.
Yeah.
When Lars Vanderhaar did that pass down the hill, oh my god, I thought that someone got murdered in their studio when they were like doing the little quick thing. But anyways, I was really excited about it, and it sounds that there was a market for it. Lots of people were into just an English version of a radio broadcast of, that you didn't need to watch it on video. You could just listen to it on radio. It sounded like there's a couple other people that were doing that on Twitter I saw. So it's a needed thing. So good for them for doing it. I'm excited about that.
It was awesome. They crushed it. They did a great job. And like I said, I only saw the women's racing on Saturday with their commentary, but it was really good. They knew the names of everybody. They knew people I didn't recognize. They were popping them out on the feed and pointing them out, and it was great. It was super well done. But yeah, I look forward to seeing more of it in the future. It's clearly something we need. And it's awesome they could pull it off.
We got got a couple of the only thing they didn't take were good Twitter questions, but they learned the lesson from the UCI cyclocross. So that was
I think
all right.
they're a little smarter than that. Yeah.
When are we gonna do? Are we gonna do the monuments this year? Should we do like a live? Should we do live Milan San Remo?
Well, when is the Japan Cup?
Well, the Japan Cup's not until October, but there's Milan San Remo and then there's the Japan Cup. Those are the two monuments. So I was thinking we could do we do a spring and we do a fall. I mean, Milan San Remo is mostly boring, so that's like 4 hours of us just talking to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it could be fun, though. We'd probably have a lot of listeners. We did get before we wrap up here, guys, there are a few Twitter questions I want to get to, and then also a review. We got a new review on the iTunes store from Cypher09. As a cyclist that is approaching his 35th birthday, I really appreciate all the titanium bike advice in the last few episodes. Keep up the good work. Titanium bikes are the future. Definitely want to get on that while you can. Cypher09.
The future and the past.
That's right.
Yeah. Man, I want to buy some at the swap today, but I could not afford them.
We got a good question from Ryan Fisher, longtime listener from Cleveland, Ohio. He says, "Hey, Slow Ride Podcast, are you supposed to wave and acknowledge to other riders on Zwift? Because that seems pretty exhausting."
Fuck that.
Well, little guy, you may not know this, but there is a...
I know what Zwift is. I know what it is.
No, but there's a wave feature. Like on your phone, like on your little control, like where... Because you can press a button where you flick your elbow and someone's supposed to pull through. There is a wave feature. Like you can press a button that then waves.
Man, I might have to get Zwift.
So if you flick that elbow... If they flick the elbow and they don't pull through... can you just sit up? Can you just be like, screw it, you pull through, and you guys just both kind of coast to a stop, and like, so you're in your house.
So it's like Zach's tracks.
You're in your house in Florida, and Spencer's in Boston, and you're both just suddenly not riding anymore. And your significant others come in the room and be like, I thought you were doing your workout. And you're like, fucking Tim won't pull through. Fucking Spencer won't pull through. This is bullshit. And you both just kind of sit there, coast.
I flicked the elbow.
Sitting on the side of the road.
No.
You're both flicking the elbow.
Perfect excuse, little guy. I don't think there's anything weird about me and Tim not riding our bikes on the trainers.
And then yeah, that is really good. I was gonna ride, but Tim won't pull through. I was gonna ride, but Spencer.
So what I'm curious about, Tim, and so I haven't used Zwift either, but
I think I'm the only one. I only used it once.
Yeah. Is there a throw your water bottle at the guy in front of you motion you can do? Like, can I, if the moto ref cuts me off, can I?
And nor is there a ghost biking, like a ghost, like throwing your bike feature, like
perfectly, like some sort of mad genius.
That'd be pretty awesome.
That's really good. I'm just find that video and link to that on the notes page today because that was so good.
So that was a pretty good question from Ryan Fisher. So I would say, Ryan, you're not supposed to acknowledge all riders.
Oh no!
Wait, how do you know within Zwift? Can you tell if they're like, will a rider come by in Zwift and they're in jeans, like they're just like they're doing their commuting workout?
Well, it depends on what outfit they want to wear. I have yet to see the commuter outfit, like where you can wear jeans. You can have different spandex kits.
Because according to our rules, we sort of set out last week. I feel like, at least Spencer, you came down very hard on the spandex to spandex waving policy.
Yeah,
I think
there are thousands of people on Zwift, though. Like, that would be a lot. This is not the West Side Highway that Derek Lewis always tweets us about.
If somebody flicks their elbow on Zwift for me to pull through, I'm going to the front, and I'm just sitting up and waving it at everybody. And we'll just see what happens. We'll see who pulls through next.
So there's other things that you can say, too. Like, you can say, I'm toast, or, like, good work, that your character says while you're...
I'm just going to wave at everybody and say, I'm toast, and I'm going to... Can I pick my username to be toast? So I can just be like, I'm toast! Hey, guys! Hi, my name's Toast.
Is there like a pre-done commentary feature you can turn on while you're doing Zwift so that occasionally Phil Liggett says something like you're on the rivet and it makes you feel really like epic and cool?
No.
Like, he's bridging that gap.
You know what we could do?
Oh my God.
You know what
he's
we could do?
going to make it. He's on the rivet.
So Crosshairs owns the live simulcast of the Cyclocross World Championship window, right? Like they're known there and they've got that. So maybe we can just start doing the live simulcasting of people's Zwift workouts.
That sounds lucrative. Yes. Yeah.
Hey,
I'm gonna be busy that day.
Hey, this week was the Fat Bike World Championships in Crested Butte, and judging by the pictures, a lot more people went to that than the upcoming and last year's version of the USA Cycling Fat Bike National Championships.
Yeah. They looked very popular.
Yes, it did look very popular.
Is
like,
the entry
guys,
less?
I think, now, bear with me, but I think fat bikes might be the next big thing.
Yeah, I think you're right on that.
I hate you all. So we got another question here from Matt Watts. He says, hey, this is a little bit of a Greenway story, but if you're ringing your bell or you're in the process of braking and someone's coming the other way, can you wave with just your arm, like do a chicken wing? Or do you need to like fully acknowledge with a head nod?
I think in an emergency situation, a chicken wing is fully acceptable. I don't think crashing.
I think you got to give both wings though. Like if you don't give both wings, how do they know what you're doing? Maybe they just think you have an itch or something. You know, you gotta get into it and give them even a head nod too, so you can go full chicken.
You don't want to fall though, because then they're going to come over and say, "What happened?" You'd be like, "I was trying to wave."
Like, are you having a stroke? No,
I'm just really friendly.
Hey, we got a tweet that maybe we should discuss next week, but we're talking to Vaughters posted about something about the best kits in the World Tour and didn't like really because there is a women's World Tour and we should go through the women's World Tour kits on next week's episode. Lydia Hassel gave us a question about the if you had to pick the top choice, what would it be and all of that? It's definitely going to be the Cervelo Biglo team.
You think so?
Oh, dude, that Finnish national kit is pretty baller.
It is pretty sweet. I had a chance to buy a AG2R kit jersey today. I was going to go back at the end of the swap. I totally forgot. And I got home and I remembered. It was really cheap, and I'm going to regret it.
Yeah, you are.
It was also really small, and I was kind of hoping maybe early in the season I'd have like kind of a little Carlos Beckendorf thing going on. I could feel just like him. I could be huffing and puffing up the climbs and stuff.
No.
So we got
I don't need the medium. I don't need it.
We got a tweet from Yuli Flum, who is the organizer of Grand Fondo New York, and he said, "Hey, catching up on old episodes, and I agree that Het Voke is the opener, but don't forget about Il Laguglia, which apparently is a pretty important race in Italy."
Yeah. I mean, there were some bike races this week, supposedly.
Can't even pronounce it. That Greipel was winning. Old Squarejaw took a couple of victories over the weekend.
Cancelero won a bike race.
It doesn't even matter anymore.
My favorite mobster Brambilo won this runaway race this week. That's pretty cool.
So we're two weeks out from the big race in Italy. And with that, I think that we're going to get going on the podcast here. So we'd like to thank all of our listeners. Spencer already disappeared, so...
yeah, he just hung up.
And with
He's
that...
just, pissed off about us talking about the road, I guess.
Yeah, that's what happens when you start talking about the road. And with that, we'd like to thank you for listening to the Slow Ride Podcast. Send us an email at theslowridepodcast@gmail.com. Tweet us at theslowridepod. And we'd like to thank BK1 of Rhyme Series Entertainment for all of the intro and outro music. And with that, we'd like to remind you to wave all your fellow cyclists. Oh, you're back!
Good job.
Right when we're doing
Zwift.
our... And with that, wave at all the people on Zwift as well.
Or just yell "get off the road" to them. That would be cool. Is there a get off the road function?
No. I'm gonna hack the Zwift world where I'm gonna be in a truck that just can roll coal.
Dude, I'm pretty sure if you hold select and then you hit Control Alt Control Alt Control Alt Select, you get unlimited lives, and you get to say whatever.
The Slow Ride Podcast. Bikes, advice, and rumors straight from the source. TheSlowRidePodcast.com and on Twitter at TheSlowRidePod.